Hello everybody, welcome to this video. It's a pleasure for me to be here with all of you. I hope at the end of this video you all enjoy and also think with a different perspective about what we can understand when we listen to the word semantics. But before I want to start, I want to introduce that semantics we understand around the world that is the meaning of a utterance. So besides that, let me introduce myself. My name is Richard Christian Conalevi. I am a student of the Semantics L2 from the Linguistics and Language Department at UMSA University from La Paz, Bolivia. Well, today I'm going to start to talk about this important chapter that is called sentence semantics. Well, it's important to consider that the semantic relationships holding between nouns and verbs in a sentence. So, sentence semantics is important to consider the nouns and the verbs in a sentence. But for other points of view or that language have the world who believe that the syntax and semantics are intrinsically linked. But in other words, semantic is fundamental to know, and also the structure is represented by these semantic features. So I want to start with this first one, that is the propositions. The proposition is an important part when we refer to a semantic context. Well, propositions are the semantic content of a clause that means any particular syntactic structure, as well as in intended communicative force. So we can understand that propositions have two important concepts, or also is divided in two important concepts. The first one is the argument, and the second one is the predicate. Well, as I wrote here, argument and predicate. Well, it's important to know that when we refer to argument, we can say that is any of various elements of the sentence that are in relation to one another. By the predicate that most of the time typically is the noun of the phrases. And also we can understand about what is preposition. What is predicate? Predicate is the operation that carry out an argument. Typically, our verbs are also and verbs predicate adjectives. So also most of the time differ with the first one, that is the arguments. So it is important to know when we refer to propositions, we have to take into account that we have arguments and we have predicate. But most of the time, it is important to know that this predicate have a valency. So it's divided in three and also in four different types of valency. The first one is, as we have this symbol, is the zero place predicate. So what can we understand when we say zero place predicate? We can say that it consists of a class of impersonal constructions. Maybe some of the times are called the word expressions. For example, to understand this phrase predicate, we have this example that is. I don't know if I can show you. If you look, we have this sentence that is: it is sunny, it is hot, and it is snowing. So in this case, we have this zero place predicate. Also refers what is the weather, for example, today. So it refers to this important aspect. Then the second one is the one place predicate. Also consists of what are the traditionally known as, most of the time they are intransitive verbs. So we can understand that the intransitive verbs like fly, we can add the sum cupula plus the subject complements. Also we have this other example. If you see, in the first one we say Violet is a dancer, and in the second one there are two answers. So if you look in this paper, the examples Violet and two answers are the one place predicate. Then we have the second one, that is the two place predicate, that also consists of transitive verbs. It is the contrary as the one place. So two place predicate also talks about the consist of transitive verbs that most of the time are phrasal verbs or prepositional phrase. Also we have this other example that says Gary wrote a paper, and we have Gary and we have a paper. Then in the other one we have the news surprised us. The news surprised us. If you look in this sentence, we have the two place predicate. Then we have the other, that is the three place predicate, as we wrote over here, third place predicate. So we can understand that the third place predicate includes the detransitive and the complex transitive verbs, and also the prepositional verbs. So to understand this, we have this sentence. If you look over here, it says Mary puts the keys on the table. Mary, we have the verb, we have the keys, and also we have also the proposition on the other side, the table. Then the second sentence is we donate the clothes to charity. Also have we and the clothes and charity. But they are not just only 0, first, second, and third place predicate. We have a fourth place predicate that we can find, for example, in these sentences. That is said, we flew from New York to Havana via Miami. So if you look this all of these words, we have in this case the fourth place predicate. Well, and also we have to understand that when we refer to this important aspect that talks about propositions, we have to consider that we have like a pyramid in order to establish. So I want to continue with the thematic roles. And we have, as I said, the thematic roles. That in this case, the thematic roles means of accounting for the function of arguments in respect to the predicate. We can understand also that thematic roles means that a grammatically relevant semantics relation between predicate and argument. And if we look over here, we have all of these important words that are related to thematic roles. So we can say that this approach that was proposed by Fillmore and Hilbert, and it tells us that the notion of the traditional and the important grammatical uses, but also the form, in the form that is slightly a little bit different. Well, traditionally, most of the time we can understand that it's important to consider this important concept, that is the thematic role. So we have all of these words. That the first one is the agent, that is most of the time called the actor. The second one, that is the force, that is also called the author. Then we have the other, that is the instrument. The instrument also it also means, well, or we can understand that instrument expressed in a with or by a phrase. Then we have the experiencer, that also tells us as a dative or affective. Then the other one, that is the source. That is important to know the place, or it's important to know the place for which or the person is from. Same, we have the other, that is the goal. So in the goal we can also know, in other words, is called as recipient. Then we have the other one, that is the path, and that is also means how important to consider from the place to another. Then we have the other that is the location, that they can be like a little bit similar, but they are totally different. Then we have the other that they are the possessor, the benefit, the factitive, the patient, the theme, the neutral, the range, and the role. So it's important take into account that when we refer to thematic roles, we involve all of these concepts. Then the dual thematic roles also it goes to the expression of thematic roles in English. So also goes by the hand with the first one with the thematic roles is how can we express this in a variety of the ways of surface in English. We can say that the first one, the agent and force, are expressed in the subject or an active sentence. Also, then we can say that instrument, as I said before, is expressed by with or by a phrase. Then we have the other that is the experiencer, that normally is the subject is of static. Then we have the other one that is the source, and also the source, the goal, and the location. All of them are important. Can be understood goes by the hands that most of the time are expressed preposition. We can understand, for example, source with the prepositions of with, the preposition with, and the other that is the goal with the preposition to, and the next one, the tag, that also refers to, for example, by, via can estar or can be taught much better, and also the other that is occasion, in, on, and so on of the prepositions. Then also we have the dual thematic roles. That is important to know that occur with arguments to certain clauses of the verbs. So it's important to know when we have this sentence that says Lucy sat down. In this case, we have Lucy that is the agent and also is the thing. So it's important to know that the subject, in this case, is Lucy, both performs of an internal action that also others and acted upon they have also the same as of the notions. But also we can understand in a better way with a little bit explanation. So the animate subject of maybe of the notion is such as some verbs, for example, the verb run, the verb walk is both an agent and thing. Then also we have the thematic grids that tell us when is the abstract specification of the thematic of all of the possibilities for each, and also this predicate was used called as a case frame, and much like the syntactic according to the middle frame or a verb. So also the predication is divided in three types. The first one is the descriptive, the second one the cognitive, and the third one is the locative. So the first one is the descriptive. So what we can understand when we refer to in this case the predication in descriptive, we can say that we gives information about the subject. It's important to consider this when we give this information to the subject. So we can have in a sentence, for example, hey, my sister is waiting at the cinema. So it's important to note that it also gives the information about the subject. Then in the second one we have the cognitive. That also refers that most of the time all of the verbs refer to as a mental process. Most of the time these verbs are referred to the mind.